Hello and welcome to the Simplify webinar series. I'm David McBee. Thanks for joining us each month for industry news, interviews, product rollouts, and training on all things related to targeted advertising and connected TV. The Simplify webinar series is available on demand with new episodes posted each month at simply.fi/webinars, along with all of our previously recorded episodes. It's July of 2023, and this month I am excited to introduce you all to a new project we've been working on called Simplify TV. And what better platform to spin off our new show than here on the Simplify webinar series? I mean, it worked for young Sheldon, so why not? Simplify TV is a web series and a podcast that provides opportunities to showcase leaders and doers in the marketing and advertising space, allowing them to share their insights, perspectives, and unique stories. On Simplify TV, we discuss anything and everything related to media and digital marketing. Topics range from social media to branding strategies to artificial intelligence and a whole lot more. And guests don't have to be Simplify clients to participate. In fact, most aren't. Simplify TV was created to be a place where agency owners, campaign managers, sellers, and marketers of all kinds can learn from their peers. I could go on explaining what Simplify TV is all about, but why not just show you? I've taken several great clips from our first run of episodes and compiled them here for you to watch over the next 15 minutes. Think of this like the previews before the movie. Only you don't have to wait for the movie to come out. You can just visit Simplify's website or your favorite podcast app to watch or listen to any and all of these episodes at your convenience. Okay, let's dive in with this clip from Katie Brinkley, who reminds us that social media is about connection, not consumption. Are you suggesting that people be social on social media?
I know, crazy, right? And this is the thing with social media. We have gotten in this no different for us than in turning on the television. We're opening up these apps and we're consuming. That's not how they were designed. They were designed so that we would open up these apps and we'd connect. I mean, if you think about it, before there was the feed, there was the wall on Facebook. We were typing in someone's name, going over to their page and writing on their wall to have that connection with them. And that's what we have to get back to. When you start connecting with people, whether it's just leaving comments, writing them, messages off of their stories, connecting with them in the DMs, that's where the magic can happen. And that's how businesses can really utilize social media as an extremely affordable marketing tool.
Next, we have Gordon Firemark, a media and entertainment attorney who talks about the legal ramifications of using artificial intelligence in advertising. So what about on the creative side? If I go to ChatGPT or DALL-E and create an ad, that includes imagery that, was originally done by an artist, in Australia or whatever, and then I end up advertising with that, what are the ramifications there? I know you don't know the answer, but what do you predict?
Well, there are some intellectual property issues around that. And, obviously, again, where did you get the source material that that was used in creating this AI material? That there are a few lawsuits going on right now by some of the larger stock photo and photography representation agencies saying, hey, you made these tools by ingesting all of this copyrighted information. We never gave you any consent or permission to do that. In fact, we sell that stuff. You didn't pay. You're infringing our copyrights. Likewise, I've actually seen some AI generated art that incorporated trademarks that belong to fashion companies and health brands and things like that were not intended to be there. It wasn't part of the prompt. It just was some of that source material found its way in. So creators really need to be careful and thoughtful about that. And the same is true with the text material. If you use an AI copywriting tool or something, you might get chunks of information, chunks of content that actually aren't originating with the AI. The test for copyright is originality is what's protectable. And if it's too similar to something that has gone before, that could be infringement as well.
Here's Lizanna Smith. Lizanna is a champion for diversity and discusses the value of granular audience targeting in this clip.
Is the granularity just on the creative side or also on the targeting side?
Absolutely on the targeting side as well, because again, if we're able to specifically pinpoint our message to that particular audience, that's what you want, right? So, one of the reasons why we love working with Simplify so much is that we have the ability to do that in that way. We literally can say, I want to go after Mexicans in all of Florida with this particular type of income level. And between what you have with the addressable geofencing, you're able to put together those sorts of audiences and get our message exactly in front of our ideal client. And so, or not even our ideal client, but our ideal customer or the audience that we're looking to get in front of.
This is Armando Yanez. Armando shares some best practices regarding conversion metrics.
What are some of your best practices related to digital conversion metrics?
So the one piece that I think all of us struggle with is that everyone's attribution model is a little bit different, right? And right now, most of the standard for any sort of an online conversion tends to be sitting inside of analytics for any of the e-commerce customers. But if you go back over to social, social has a very different set of metrics that they go through and they use. And so one of the things that we always educate our clients with is that every conversion model, every attribution model is going to look a little bit different. But the reality is that it's going to be reflected in your store sales. Because if it's not reflected in your store sales, there's no report on the planet that we could ever produce that is somehow going to convince you that what we're doing is moving the needle. And so when we set up and engage with a client, we also go through and monitor their location so that we can show them foot traffic patterns over time and show them how their foot traffic compares to other competitors inside of the local market. Because there's certain indicators that will impact the performance of sales that are outside of our control, whether it's weather, whether it's an event, a special event that's going on, et cetera. So really being able to give that customer a holistic view that provides them with the conversion and the attribution metrics that come back out of Meta, the attribution metrics that come directly back out of analytics, and then being able to take a look at what their overall foot traffic in their stores looks like is really critical to give them a complete picture of what it is that's going on inside of their business as well as inside of their local market.
I had a great conversation with Charity Huff. We talked about Google's zero-click initiative and AI.
Yeah, so then here comes all of these AI applications, and it's throwing everything out the window. So as I've been talking to publishers this year, I show them every time, here is some of the best content that you have that has always been well ranked for you, or sponsored content that you're doing for a client. And here's it in ChatGPT with absolutely no attribution. So ChatGPT and probably Bard just the same are going out and coming back with results and answers that they're scraping from Yelp, they're scraping from newspapers, they're scraping from magazines, and sharing with the user with zero attribution as to where they found those answers.
Okay, so Google is not, it's giving credit, but it's not sending users to the website where it got the information. And AI is not even giving the website any credit. Do you think this makes a case for programmatic media being a part of every campaign?
Oh my God, yes, that is brilliant. Part of the job of programmatic is to create that brand awareness with reach, frequency. So if you are continuing to put a business's brand in front of somebody everywhere they go across the web, we see this already today where we see a lift in overall traffic to the website because people are seeking out the brand by name. So that would be a really smart near-term solution to combat both of these situations.
Here's Tyler Horsley talking about the importance of targeting.
Let's talk a little bit about the targeting of those ads. You know, everybody's connecting data and targeting audience segments. I know that personally, I see a lot of ads for the outdoors and health and fitness, and I rarely see a shampoo ad, you know, unless I'm watching broadcast television, you know. So how important do you think targeting is to making those ads effective?
Highly important. And if you are, a user out there and you're getting targeted for shampoo and you have no use if you don't have hair, right? You would clear your cache because you clicked on something you shouldn't have and people are following you around forever. I think it's highly targeted, right? That's why we do this entire workshop and this objective driven campaign thinking to begin with. We don't need more shotgun marketing approaches. It's a quick way to waste a lot of money. If you don't have a solid message for a specific audience in mind, like I want to serve people that live in this area that happen to love pizza, love the Denver Nuggets, and hate BMWs for some reason. It's like the more specific and the more niche down that you can get, I can just speak from an SEO perspective, the quicker you will actually gain success online because you have niche expertise in a specific vertical instead of generally the master of all. The same is even more true with advertising. And it's the most efficient way to spend your money because statistically the people that are looking at your ads campaigns are the most qualified.
Listen to Aaron Strong share information about top tactics that local marketers perceived to be the most effective in 2022.
All right, so did the top tactic utilization vary from the tactics local marketers perceived as the most effective?
Yes, and this is disappointing again, right? I hate to see a gap in utilization and perception, but what really hurts is when you see a gap between perception and actual efficacy, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, next. But in the perception of what's most effective, people ranked sponsorships and local activation, networking, and then again, posting and engagement on social media. That's not really surprising because we find that local marketers like the instant gratification of interaction. They like to shake someone's hand, kiss their baby. They like to see the thumbs up on Facebook. They like to see on TikTok that people are sharing their post with others. So it doesn't surprise me that those engagement and human interaction pieces are ranking the highest on perceived efficacy. Of course, you perceive something to be effective if you're meeting with someone in person at an event and they're nodding and excited and smiling. That feels really gratifying. But that perception of what's effective and the investment of time and how you value your own time and the investment of a booth and the printouts and the setup is really hard to calculate when you consider how cheap it is to do digital, right? Programmatic, CTV, paid social. Those things have a really clear return on ad spend. And for the same investment of time and dollars, you get a much higher return and you can track it. So although I know those in-person things are really gratifying and they're important in your marketing funnel, they're not the best opportunity with your budget typically. They're one of the best opportunities, but not the best.
In this clip, Adam Mark talks about the collaboration of SEO and programmatic media.
Can you share an example of a time when you had a client add programmatic and it helped their campaign, or maybe they took away programmatic and you noticed it hurt it?
Yeah, I think we've seen, as I mentioned, we look at maps and we look at the data that Google's been providing for the last 4 or 5 years in terms of direct search, people looking specifically for that business by name. Discovery search, which is keyword based, and then branded search, which is the brands that they carry. And we try to, when we see programmatic added, we've seen many times where everything else is same store in terms of their marketing mix, and we see an increase in that direct search where people are looking for them by name, which is what every bit of every outreach type of advertising, whether it's programmatic or TV or radio, is designed to get more people to look for you by name. And we've definitely been able to draw lines to that.
And finally, Sierra Walker shares what it's like to be a woman in media.
All right, so because Simplified TV isn't broadcast live, I know that our viewers aren't aware that you and I are talking on International Women's Day, but I feel compelled to ask you about being a woman in media.
It's definitely unique. The Karma Group has been a very different experience for me because this is actually a woman-owned agency, and 90% of the employees here are women. So a complete flip because my background, I was in radio for many years, and it was historically men. And it's, you know, you kind of got to put your money where your mouth is. You got to stand up. You got to be a little bit more confident. And, you know, I know for a lot of women that can be difficult because you get looked at as difficult or harsh, or, you know, there's a lot of other terms that are used to describe women when we tend to be more outspoken. But you earn a seat at the table, right? And I feel like that was how it was for me. I didn't just say things, I did it. If I said I was going to do something, I did it. And I didn't just do it, you know, a little bit. I'd go 110% because that's what it took. And I think the more experience you have in doing that and the confidence you have, and it works, right? When you know what you're doing, and it's easier to be confident, and then you have the proof, right? Like, look, I said this is what was going to happen. This is what actually happened. And don't let it scare you. There were plenty of times where I was the only female in the room, and I was never treated differently, but I also never behaved differently. I didn't act differently. I was never mousy about my opinions. I have very strong opinions about things, and I'm not always right, but it's also then admitting when you aren't right. So it's just put in the work, show it. Don't just say it.
And there you have it, some of our favorite clips so far. I hope you enjoyed those. And now that you've had a little taste of Simplify TV, head on over to our website where you can hear these conversations in their entirety. You can also find Simplify TV episodes on our YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. For those of you who want to consume your content on the go, we've even made Simplify TV available via your favorite podcast platform. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Simplify TV, we'd love to hear from you. You can apply at bookus.page/Simplify TV or send an email to david@simply.fi. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next month, or sooner if I've done my job and you start watching Simplify TV. If you have any questions about Simplify's offerings, please reach out to your Simplify account manager or send an email to hi@simply.fi. I'm David McBee. Be awesome, and we'll see you next time.